I'm your host, Jason. As always, today I will be talking about that Twitch exclusive event, Brace for Impact, that was put on by both Impact Wrestling and Wrestle Pro. It debuted Friday night. It was taped from the previous, I believe, Friday or Saturday night. Thought overall it was a pretty good show. I actually really enjoyed Scott D'Amore and Josh Matthews together. Scott D'Amore was actually really good. He was hilarious. Thought he added a lot to the commentary team. Would I want to hear him every week? I don't know. I think eventually he would get maybe a little old. But like, I guess basically, if it came down between Don Callis or Scott D'Amore being that the color commentary, the analyst, I would rather it be Don Callis. But neither one of them could be a play-by-play guy. I don't believe they could. So hopefully that all works itself out. But I think for special events like this Twitch stuff, I think Scott D'Amore could definitely step in and do a tremendous job. Let's see here. One thing that I have to kind of critique about was one thing I was definitely looking forward to, because we kept seeing all the event posters for this on Twitter being posted all the time and all this stuff, and saw the kind of the whole card. I was looking forward to a lot of different matches, specifically that Angelina Love and Tennille Dashwood match that we didn't get, and I was kind of looking forward to seeing some different people. So I was kind of hoping that this was going to be like kind of a cool thing that we would be able to see a bunch of indie guys on top of Impact Wrestling matches. Instead, we just got the matches that involved Impact Wrestling people, which is not a big deal. It's not a bad thing. That was kind of one of my little critiques, disappointment things. I was kind of looking forward to a couple different things, and obviously we didn't get it because they just kept it to Impact Wrestling matches only. But let's go ahead and dive on into these different matches that we got throughout the night. First of all, also, before I get started in the matches, forgot the opening for this Twitch exclusive. It was obviously kind of very similar to the opening to Impact on Thursday nights, but it was done a little different, Twitch colors. But I love that theme song. It's more impactful, upbeat, a little more fun in your face. I thought that was really good, so I really liked the Twitch opening. But after that, we got the first match of the night, which is Reality Check, which involves, I guess it's KM's kind of stable there at Wrestle Pro versus a guy named Delroy, a guy from the car wash named Habib, and CAQ. And it's Christopher something. I didn't get the full thing, so I just went with, because the name that they threw up was CAQ, and so I was fine with just calling him that. Thought this match was actually a lot of fun, very different, a good opening indie match, that kind of is just kind of fun, but also semi-serious, but funny. It gets people knowing, hey, tonight's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time. I'll tell you what, bring Reality Check to Impact Wrestling. I thought both of the other guys were pretty good, and they looked the part. They wrestled very well. But those two guys, that whole stable would be perfect for King M and Impact Wrestling if they really want to move him up to the top of the roster. I think that'd be really good. And of course, then with the other two, you got a good tag team now that you can throw in to Impact Wrestling that clearly needs more tag teams, right? So I thought that was really good. And I think KM being in charge of his own stable would be huge. I think that would just really make him shine. Also, that Delroy, he had a look, and he was putting on some really good moves, doing some really good stuff. I think he could also be a good fit in Impact Wrestling if you just kind of tweak his gimmick a little bit. At least from what I could see in the match, it just didn't really seem like he had much of a gimmick outside of his name's Delroy. And Obviously, I don't watch Wrestle Pro on a regular basis, so I don't know. Maybe there's more to him. But just at the glance in one match, you can't tell what his gimmick is. So I think if you gave him something a little more concrete, a little more character, I think he can go in the ring. I think he's a guy, though, like a style of wrestler that could fit Impact Wrestling. Which, by the way, I'm going to go through if I liked them. I'll point out that, hey, this guy could be good for Impact Wrestling, because that's kind of what this thing is. Whenever we're first seeing our eyes on some of these guys, and we know that Scott D'Amore and Don Callis and the team are looking to kind of revamp this roster and change it up. I kind of like looking at some of these indie darlings, or at least indie guys that might not be the indie darlings. Might not be the Ricochets or the Will Ospreys, the Zack Sabre Juniors, the Marty Scurlls, the Briscoes, the whoever, the Matt Riddles, Jeff Cobbs, but are maybe just under somebody that we could then turn and make them a star at Impact Wrestling. And I think Delroy could be one of those. I think he could be really good. He's really impressive. It did take me a minute in this match to kind of get used to how small the ring is, and they pointed that out later on in the match. Actually, it was the main event, I think, that they pointed that out in. But it just kind of took me a while to get used to how small it is. But I thought the camera work was really good. But to kind of eventually make you forget just how small the ring is. But CAQ gets the win for his team. And, of course, after the match, though, KM attacks CAQ and basically demands one more match with him for that title. And then he said anywhere, any type of stipulation. And, of course, CAQ says a steel cage match. Of course, that was kind of played up more for Wrestle Pro than for us as Impact Wrestling fans. Up next was probably one of my more favorite things of the night, was an appearance by Colby Covington. And Colby was obviously flanked by John Hartnett. Still had all the bandages and stuff, selling all that stuff. That was great. He was hilarious in his time with AT&T on Impact Wrestling. Basically, he came out and just said how much he wants to fight, Tyrone Woodley, which we've kind of seen that on Twitter and everything else. He's really trying hard to get a UFC fight with Tyrone Woodley and get that title. So they played that up a little bit. So out comes not Tyrone Woodley, but Ty Quill Woodley. This dude was like just this big fat dude, out of shape, total jobber. But as he was talking, and just the look of Colby and we've seen him do in Impact, and the character development that he displayed on there. You see what he does on Twitter, how he can talk shit, and he's got somewhat of an impressive look for a smaller guy. I kept thinking to myself, Impact, as soon as Colby Covington wants to start doing professional wrestling, which he wants to, because you can just see it. He had a ball at Impact whenever they were doing their AT&T stuff, and you could tell he was having a ball here at Wrestle Pro. And the fact that he's just even doing this stuff, he wants to get into professional wrestling at some point. Impact always needs to be in his ear, ready to go. The second he wants to be legit professional wrestler, they need to be like, just come on over, because he's going to be that next MMA guy that's going to be so seamlessly moving to professional wrestling and will kill it. I think he's going to be an amazing professional wrestler whenever he does decide to do that. Because he's just a great overall character. And I think if you tell him, hey, turn your shit up to 11 and this is going to be your gimmick, he's going to be amazing. I think he could be not CM Punk, but that same kind of style of professional wrestler, as far as he's going to talk shit, he's going to say he's the best, and then he might not be the biggest guy, but he's probably going to I would have him do a lot of strikes and then a lot of submissions. And that was kind of CM Punk, right? I don't think maybe he could be as big as CM Punk, but he's going to be that same style of professional wrestler. And that would be huge if Impact can jump in on him before he gets taken up by whoever else, New Japan, WWE, Ring of Honor, whatever. But I just thought this whole thing was super funny. The announcer playing up almost like he was Bruce Buffer, fighting! And he was hilarious. He was really good. And in very quick fashion, Colby knocks out Ty Quill and wins the UFC championship. So that was actually that was really good. That was pretty funny. That's another great indie thing to do. Would that play out necessarily on Impact or Ring of Honor? Not really. We've seen it play out before in certain things, but that's such a great indie spot just to have this total parody thing. And I just thought it was really funny. Up next, we were supposed to get Chris Payne versus Matt Sydal, but Sydal gets attacked by the Heavenly Bodies, who are supposedly in a stable with Chris Payne. But Chris Payne did not want that. He was actually very upset about that. So he ends up basically quitting that stable and saying, hey, you know what? Let's have a tag team or a tag match, me and Matt Sydal versus the Heavenly Bodies. And they accept. Sorry, still, I'm feeling so much better today. Hence why I'm doing this today. I know I had said I was going to do this yesterday. But I got done with that video, had to do this new editing thing, and the load-ups took forever. So by the time we got done with all of that, I just didn't really feel like doing another one. So I'm doing this one today. Feeling a lot better, but still need a little bit of Coke just to kind of help clear my throat out a little bit more. So I apologize if I have to, take a few drinks and interrupt myself there. But anyway, so this does turn into a tag match. And I thought it was a fairly decent match. This Chris Payne, if we didn't already have KM, I think he would be a good fit. But he has too much of the same kind of body type as KM, and I don't know. Just it was okay. The Heavenly Bodies, no, I'm sorry. They were okay, wrestling wise, but like again, if you can't stay in shape to try to make it, like, then once you make it, why would you all of a sudden try to stay in shape? Again, I'm not a big body guy. If your gimmick fits your size, okay. Even like Kevin Owens, he gets away with it because he's so talented. You forget about the fact that he's overweight. And he's not so crazily overweight everywhere else that he looks it. He's just kind of got a gut. And so, but, whenever you have other guys that are just kind of loosely out of shape, it looks bad. And you look very, I guess non-professional. You look very backyard wrestling, if you will. And so, like, the Heavenly Bodies were okay in the ring, but they weren't so good in the ring that, you could look past how they look. You look at, like, a couple guys like the Revival. They're still in pretty good shape. Do they have, like, six-pack abs? No. But they're like old school country boys strong. Is kind of how they look. They're still built. They're still, they're still muscular. They just, they're just kind of thick guys. But the Revival are so good, they get away with it. Outside of that, if your gimmick is like, Fallah Bahh, or like old school Yokozuna, or this guy over here, Grado, Kamala, Vader, even Vader though, Vader was a big dude. Like, he was jacked. He just was big. He was just fat, but he was jacked. And, so like, but these two just fit in that one little category. Almost kind of how I feel about Adam Everett. They fit in this category of like, you just look just out of shape to where you don't care. And, again, it's just, I'm not body guy, obviously, right? I'm not the best looking, as best in shape person. I'm working on it, but I'm not the best in shape, and I'm never gonna try to be the best in shape. But I'm also not being paid to go out there and look like I'm not you and can kick people's ass. You know what I'm saying? So in that sense, I'm still kind of like an old school wrestling fan as far as I don't need my guys to be in like insane steroid shape, but I would like them to look at least fit, right? I don't think that's too much to ask. But anyway, so I know a lot of people kind of like the heavenly bodies on the indie scene, but I'm not a huge fan. But again, you know, they mentioned with the Chris Payne guy, the one way that you could probably bring him in is play up his cop stuff. I guess he's also a police officer while he wrestles. If you played up like him being like this cop or like bodyguard, you know, kind of person, it could work. In fact, you know, and I only thought of this because his tag team partner was Matt Sydal. Right now he's going through with this whole spiritual advisor. We know it's supposed to be a certain somebody. If you don't know, I'm not going to mention it. But he's got somebody to be a spiritual advisor. This person is a little more smaller in stature. Wouldn't it be cool if for his spiritual advisor to need a bodyguard that he now gives to him and Sydal? Boom, Chris Payne steps in and then eventually can move on, kind of like the Diesel thing, kind of move on then to be a professional wrestler. Or he can be a professional wrestler quite often, just his first duty is to be a bodyguard to Sydal and a spiritual advisor. I think that would be a good way to introduce him into Impact Wrestling, because he's got that look, you know, the long hair, he's got the big body, but you know, he didn't really impress me too much on the mic, so that's why I would put him in something like that if you were going to bring him into Impact. But back to the match, Sydal gets the win for the team. Didn't do much in the match, but he got the win. So there you go. You know, you got the 450 splash and then got it. So up next is Sean Donovan versus Moose. There's not much to say to this. Moose won. I didn't feel it. I saw some people on Twitter saying this was like a really amazing match. I wasn't necessarily feeling this match too much. Wasn't a big fan of that Sean Donovan at all. I thought Moose, you know, did what he could. He was pretty good. Just, I don't know. It just didn't, the match just didn't seem to mesh well for me. It just wasn't all that great. After that, we get Nikos versus Nikki, or Nikos and Nikki versus Braxton Sutter and Allie. Now, the name that came across was Nikos and Nikki Adams, but they kept calling him Nikos and Nikki Ricos. So I don't know, whatever it is. But, man, Nikos' outfit is terrible. Why is he wearing that? That was god-awful. And I love how Scott D'Amore actually made fun of it. But, yeah, throughout this match, actually, Scott D'Amore was the highlight. Like, he was hilarious in everything that he was talking about. But overall, I thought this was a decently competitive match. You know, the match never wowed me. Neither one of Nikos or Nikki really wowed me either. So, yeah, you know, it just was okay. Allie got in some good stuff. Braxton got in some good stuff. But at the end of the day, kind of a shocker, Nikos gets the win for their team. Didn't see that coming. And then they kind of kept the camera on Allie and Braxton a little bit. I was waiting for them maybe to start furthering their story. But you know, then they just kind of cut it off quick. So I wasn't sure what that linger on them was for, because they didn't really do anything. Let's see here. Up next, then we get an Eddie Edwards promo. He basically just apologizes since he got, you know, hurt, that he can't wrestle. Out comes his opponent, Bobby Wayward. The bad thing about these like longer promo sections is, since it's just like they don't have the microphones hooked up to any type of like audio board, I'm guessing, or whatever that you have to have it hooked up for, so we just hear it straight through the TV. They're the only way we can hear it is because like the cameras just happen to pick up the audio that's happening inside, so it's really echoey. It's not very loud. It's not very clear. So that's the only bad thing about those. So I couldn't really tell what a lot of them were saying. And half the time the crowd would start chanting or booing over the guys, and you would hear the crowd more than you would the people talking. But Eddie says that he has a replacement for him, so Bobby, you're still going to wrestle tonight. And out comes Teddy Hart. So then we get Teddy Hart versus Bobby Wayward. In this match, we found out that Teddy Hart, I guess in like a way, is returning to Impact Wrestling. Teddy Hart was part of TNA like during the weekly pay-per-view era for a little while. And then he kind of fell off. He got, I think he went to WWE for a little bit. And then, but just, like Teddy he was in a lot of trouble, a lot of demon stuff. And he's, I guess, kind of cleaned up his acts, trying to get back into professional wrestling. Teddy in this match, but yeah, anyway, he's gonna be part of Impact Wrestling for their WrestleCon show. So that should be interesting. I don't know if they want to bring him in permanently. I know D'Amore's got a big connection to the Hart family. In fact, they talked about it quite a bit in this and during this match. So I don't know. Maybe it's part of Scott D'Amore going, I've known Teddy for so long. I want to get him, back being successful. I'm not sure. Teddy Hart still looked okay. But he kind of looks like a older guy that's just kind of trying to still stay in shape. Like I don't know. And like his moves were decent. His submission stuff was spot on, fantastic. And of course he's a Hart, so of course he knows his submissions. But everything else was just kind of like, you could tell he's still trying to work his way back into professional wrestling. And look, I'm all for second chances and redemption stories. That's what kind of makes America great. And so I hope he does. I hope he's turned himself around and he can be successful and everything else. I was just kind of shocked that Teddy Hart is supposedly going to be part of Impact Wrestling, maybe, at least for that WrestleCon show. So, but yeah, this match was pretty decent. I thought Bobby Wayward was really impressive, and he would be an amazing addition to the X Division match. And eventually Wayward did get the win. Then we get to it, I thought, maybe the best match of the night, outside of the main event. And it was Matt McIntosh versus Anthony Bowens versus Eli Drake. And I'll tell you right now, Matt McIntosh and Anthony Bowens both should be in Impact Wrestling, like, as soon as possible. Those two guys both have a good gimmick. They have decent looks for their gimmicks. Anthony Bowens is insane. I would probably maybe tweak a little bit of Anthony Bowens, because I wouldn't have him come out looking like a Power Ranger. I don't know. He's a big dude. He should just be like a big dude. I don't know exactly what you would do to his gimmick a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't have him going with the gimmick of I'm like a real life Power Ranger. I don't know. But all three of these guys just absolutely, I thought, really kind of tore down the house. Were really good. The match started off fast and intense, and it continued to be that throughout. I just thought it was overall a fun match. Eli Drake is still the man. He can go in there with anybody and have a good match in any type of style, damn near. I thought he had a great showing. And at the end, Anthony Bowens gets the win with a really stiff knee strike, and it was really good. I just thought it was really good, and the commentary team played up really well that Eli Drake was picking his spots, because he's got bigger fishes to fry coming up this Thursday night on Impact, because he's got his rematch for his title against Austin Aries. Then we get, I thought, maybe one of the most fun matches to watch throughout the night, and it's Falaba versus Alberto El Patron, which I remember seeing this match on the card going, this should be odd and interesting. And it was, but in a really good way. Like, just a good, fun way. The fact, like, this is one thing I do like about Patron, is he is way above anything Falaba has ever done. And I like Falaba, but I'm just saying. And Patron still went out there and sold and had a good match. And somebody in his caliber, I don't think most other people of his caliber would not have gone out and tried to have a good match with this. They would have just gone out there and been like, no, I'm squashing this dude. I'm way better. See ya. And he didn't. He went out and had a really good match. And Fall of Ball is over like Rover no matter where he goes. He is, and I guess like that's kind of where he started with Wrestle Pro. So that was good. The crowd was obviously into him just like they are here, at the Impact Zone and everything else. Doing the bop, bop, bop. But I thought it was a really good showing for Fall of Ball. He's had some really good matches now with people like EC3 and Matt Sydal, and now Alberto Patron on this. And it's really raising his stock. He really does a good job of straddling that line of still looking pretty damn serious and being a monster-ish, but still kind of having a little bit of that like babyface, comedic almost charm to him. With the no, 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 and the boss stuff with batting his head. So good for Fall of Ball. I was really happy once this match was done. I was happy. Then we get to, I think, definitely probably the match of the night, and it was the main event. Danny Moff versus Johnny Impact. I always thought it was Danny Maff, and I've heard people say Danny Maff, but then they were calling him Danny Moff last night, so I'm going to go with Danny Moff. Danny Moff is definitely another guy I would like to see in Impact Wrestling. He would fit in really good, like maybe even with LAX. He has this really cool, he almost kind of looks like a really fat Taz. Like he has that same look in the face. Just this serious, like, I'm going to beat your ass type look. And he just kind of has a little bit of the same, like, goatee look kind of to Taz. And, man, that dude could go in the ring because this was very hard hitting. Him and Johnny Impact, I think, just put on a really good stuff. Moff with that real crazy Tope Suicida. I cannot talk. I'm sorry. But I thought it was really cool for a guy his size to go in between the ropes and get that. Man, he looked good. Impact did get the win. I just thought it was a great match. After the match, Impact said, everybody's saying they want a rematch. Next time I'm here, we'll definitely do that. Blah blah blah. He's a great wrestler. He's wrestled with everybody in the world, and this guy is just as good as a lot of them. And why not let him have I guess they're saying like a 20-year veteran. And he's one of those names I've kind of always heard around. I never really watched him wrestle or anything until the other night. And, yeah, I was really impressed. I thought he clearly knows who he is as a character. He knows who he is as a wrestler. And I think Impact could just be that perfect spot for him again. These are the type of guys that I was pointing out in this video are the type of guys that I think Impact really needs to dive into. Yeah, I would love to get those internet darlings. Obviously, we got Brian Cage, great pickup. Bringing back Austin Aries, great pickup. I would love to see us go get a Zack Sabre or a Will Ospreay. Jeff Cobb, Matt Riddle. And then still find to go get it. Let's go get some of these other guys. And I get maybe they don't want to raid these indie promotions that they're working with, but I think that sets up perfect. You don't have to, they're not exclusive because nobody is on the roster anyway, right? Use those as a way to, okay, hey, Dan Mouth, we're going to bring you in to Impact for the next 4 or 5 months until this next pay-per-view, and we want to try to do a story with you. Okay, this is, you know what I mean? And then go from there. Still let them do, because most indie promotions just do stuff maybe like once a month anymore, I think. Maybe they do a little bit more than that, but I think a lot of them anymore are getting down to just once a month. So, I think this is where Impact could use these type of relationships to really bolster their roster and make things different and, a little more interesting without having to, sign them on for multi-year deals. Then that's where you can have your roster. You can bring in indie guys. You can make them your own. Make them Impact originals. Yeah. But overall, I thought the show was really good. I'm looking forward to the next one, the Impact on the Road show, I believe is what it's called. We just saw the first match that was announced for that. It's Trevor Lee versus Josh Alexander. That should be a good match. I've always really wanted to see I've heard a lot about Josh Alexander. I see him a lot on different indie event posters that we'll see on Twitter. So I'm really interested in seeing that type of match. I'm really interested to see just overall what this show will look like. And then, of course, we'll have WrestleCon coming up that will also be on Twitch. So it's some exciting things for Impact Wrestling with all these different Twitch exclusive events that they're doing, partnering up with people, different indie promotions. And, you know, that was a good-sized crowd at that event. And, you know, whether it was mainly WrestlePro fans coming to see Impact, or if it was Impact fans coming to see Impact and promote and also help support a partner in WrestlePro, who knows? You know, like I don't know. Obviously, the people there probably know because it's probably a lot of the same people that come to these events all the time for WrestlePro. So if they see a bunch of new people, they're probably going, "Oh man, this is like a lot more people than usual." Then they would probably know those Impact fans. But you know, hopefully, you know, I haven't seen the numbers yet for viewers. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully they're good like the Barbed Wire Massacre match one. And hopefully these things keep growing and get more viewers and they keep doing them. Because I enjoy it. I love it. It's something different. It's better than the one-night onlys. And it helps kind of bridge the gap of seeing special events that aren't pay-per-views that we don't have to pay for. I don't think you can go wrong with these Twitch exclusive events. But anyway, folks, that is all for today. Please let me know what you guys thought of this Brace for Impact. If you want to see more of these Twitch exclusive events, and maybe shout out some ideas down there on what different type of events you would like to see on Twitch that for Impact to do. Again, let me know down in the comments. Hit me up on my Twitter at Anthem of Impact. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do. Hit that subscription button. Like these videos. Go check out, if you haven't seen my channel before, go check out some other videos. You know, I'll book videos, do some fantasy booking stuff. I always will review Impact every week. Sometimes I talk about different topics, you know, EC3 and the Rumble. I've talked about the Woken gimmick in WWE. You know, just different stuff like that. I plan on trying to do some other different content. Obviously this last week, like I said, I've been sick, so I haven't done it this week. But maybe, you know, coming up here soon, I'll try to throw in a couple extra videos here or there. But anyway, guys, as of right now, my next video will come out to you on Friday, where I'll review this week's episode of Impact, where we'll see Eli Drake versus Austin Aries, a possible Secret Admirer, seeing Allie, and probably some many other things. Brian Cage's debut. So yeah, so it looks like it's going to be a pretty good episode of Impact. But yeah, so until next time, Impact Nation, peace.